Good morning, everyone. Today, we delve into a profound and complex chapter of American history, exploring the Kennedy dynasty. We'll uncover the story behind Camelot and its shadows, examining the enduring legacy, the lingering mysteries, and the deep tragedies that have defined this iconic family. Our journey begins with the ascent of what many came to call America's own royal family. The roots of the Kennedys trace back to the mid-19th century, when they fled the Irish potato famine, starting at the very bottom of the social ladder. The true architect of the family's fortune and influence was Joseph P. Kennedy Sr. He amassed a massive fortune through banking, liquor distribution, stock investments, and Hollywood. Driven by a singular ambition to place a Kennedy in the highest office, Joseph Sr. instilled relentless pressure and an absolute drive for success in his children. This ambition culminated in 1960 when 43-year-old John F. Kennedy became the youngest elected and the first Catholic president of the United States, marking the family's zenith. President Kennedy's vision for America was encapsulated in his New Frontier, introduced at the 1960 Democratic National Convention. This wasn't just a political slogan, it represented an activist government approach to modern challenges and perils across several key areas. The space program committed the nation to scientific advancement, most audaciously, to land a man on the moon within a decade. Global democracy saw the creation of the Peace Corps, established in March 1961, engaging young volunteers worldwide in agriculture, education, and health. On the domestic front, economic reform pushed legislation to end the recession by lowering taxes and increasing the minimum wage. And in social justice, JFK laid the early framework for urban housing support, federal aid for the elderly, and public education funding, particularly focused on math and science. Central to the New Frontier was a generational call to action, epitomized by one of his most famous lines, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." JFK positioned himself as the leader of a new, energetic generation, unburdened by a stagnant past. He viewed democracy not as a static event but as a continuous, active process. His powerful rhetoric successfully mobilized thousands of young Americans into public service and the civil rights movement, cementing his legacy as a truly visionary leader. Before his presidency, JFK authored the Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Profiles in Courage, examining 8 historical U.S. senators. The core thesis of the book was that true political courage requires a leader to put the national interest above intense pressure from constituents, political parties, and special interest groups. He also offered a prescient warning: the power of mass communication makes unorthodox or unpopular decisions increasingly difficult, demanding even greater integrity from modern leaders. Perhaps the most defining moment of JFK's presidency came during the 13 Days on the Brink. On October 22, 1962, JFK revealed to the world the Soviet construction of medium-range nuclear missile bases in Cuba. In a strategic choice, he rejected military pressure for a preemptive strike or an act of war blockade, instead implementing a naval quarantine to halt further weapons shipments. Tensions peaked on October 24 when the U.S. military was placed on DEFCON 2, the highest readiness level since World War II, as Soviet ships approached the quarantine line. Humanity stood at the precipice of World War III. It was JFK's restraint that saved the world. By balancing measured military pressure with intense back-channel diplomacy, he secured an agreement on October 28. The Soviets agreed to dismantle the missiles, in exchange for a U.S. promise not to invade Cuba. The quarantine was lifted on November 2. The legacy of this de-escalation was profound. It led to the creation of the Washington-Moscow Hotline and the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Even today, JFK's handling of the crisis remains the ultimate case study in crisis management, proving that behind strong military capability, true peace is forged through strategic patience, restraint, and diplomatic dialogue, rather than emotional retaliation. However, the hope and promise of Camelot were tragically shattered on November 22, 1963. Looking toward the 1964 election, President Kennedy visited Texas to heal political factions, braving threats from extreme right-wing groups. After morning stops in Fort Worth, the presidential motorcade entered downtown Dallas. At precisely 12:30 p.m., 3 shots rang out from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Captured on the historic Zapruder film, the shots struck JFK and Texas Governor John Connally. The president was rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital but tragically succumbed to his wounds, ending his life and presidency in an instant. The aftermath was marked by chaos and the swift establishment of an official narrative. Lee Harvey Oswald, a former Marine who had previously defected to the Soviet Union, was arrested as the suspect. The Warren Commission, appointed by President Lyndon B. Johnson and led by Chief Justice Earl Warren, concluded that Oswald acted entirely alone. However, just 2 days later, nightclub owner Jack Ruby shot and killed Oswald while he was in police custody. This silencing of the sole suspect, coupled with a lack of clear motive, immediately fueled massive public suspicion and gave birth to rampant speculation that continues to this day. Today, Dallas stands with monuments of both memory and tragedy. The John F. Kennedy Memorial Plaza, designed by architect Philip Johnson, features a cenotaph composed of 72 white precast concrete columns that appear to float, creating a quiet space for reflection. The former Texas School Book Depository now houses the 6th Floor Museum, a meticulous archive of the event. The exact corner window where Oswald fired the shots remains preserved and enclosed in glass, a frozen testament to the moment that forever changed history. Despite the official findings, the JFK assassination remains an endless mystery, fueled by decades of secrecy. Driven by public demand and laws passed in the 1990s, the U.S. government was mandated to release the remaining classified files. Even with subsequent releases under recent administrations, including thousands of previously hidden FBI documents, definitive proof of a wider plot remains elusive. Today, 99% of the National Archives records regarding the assassination are public, yet the sheer volume of delayed transparency has permanently etched doubt into the American psyche, ensuring the mystery endures. This enduring doubt has led to a persistent web of suspicions, with theories pointing to various powerful entities. Some suspect rogue agents within the CIA, angered by JFK's refusal to launch false flag operations to start a war with Cuba. Others point to the Mafia, theorizing retaliation from organized crime leaders who felt betrayed by the Kennedy administration's aggressive crackdowns after allegedly helping secure the 1960 election. There's also speculation about a Cuban connection, either retaliation from Fidel Castro over CIA assassination attempts, or plots by anti-Castro exiles furious over the Bay of Pigs failure. Finally, some believe elements of the military-industrial complex sought a coup d'état to escalate the Vietnam War, which JFK was allegedly hesitant to pursue. Beyond the assassination, the Kennedy family's staggering success was mirrored by equally staggering devastation, leading the media to coin the term, the Kennedy curse. The hidden tragedy of Rosemary, their daughter who suffered from intellectual disabilities, was a dark secret subjected to a forced lobotomy by her father in 1941. She spent the rest of her life hidden in an institution. Early devastation struck the family when the eldest son, Joseph Jr., perished in a World War II bomber explosion in 1944. Just 4 years later, in 1948, daughter Kathleen died in a plane crash at just 28 years old, setting a pattern of loss that would haunt the family for generations. The echoes of tragedy continued across generations. In 1968, Senator Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated in Los Angeles while campaigning for the presidency. The following year, 1969, Senator Ted Kennedy's political career was permanently scarred by the Chappaquiddick incident, leading him to publicly question if an awful curse truly hung over the family. Decades later, the pattern continued. In 1997, Michael Kennedy died in a skiing accident. Just 2 years later, in 1999, JFK Jr. The family's brightest new hope died tragically in a plane crash alongside his wife and sister-in-law. The modern toll has seen the immense pressure of the family mythos manifest in struggles with addiction and tragic overdoses, including Saoirse Kennedy Hill in 2019. The Kennedy dynasty remains the most vivid mirror of modern American history, embodying an ultimate American duality. Their story is one of breathtaking inspiration, unwavering public service, and a visionary push toward the future. Yet, it is inextricably bound to profound grief, unresolved historical mysteries, and the devastating human cost of immense ambition. The Kennedys demonstrate how the highest pinnacles of power and the deepest depths of human fragility can tragically coexist within a single family, leaving an indelible mark on the nation's consciousness.